Welcome to Trending Upwards podcast, Ep03. I feel like I should say that in an accent to make it a bit more snazzy.
Do an accent, all right.
Yeah.
We're getting really good material for the outtakes.
Welcome to Trending Upwards podcast, episode 3. Anthony, our first podcast together.
I know. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So I'm very new to the SEO team. Just a month in now.
Yeah.
But
This is a lot more official than the last podcast. It was just me on.
We've stepped our game up
little
bit, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought for my first podcast we'd push it to the limit, really.
Yeah. So I haven't thought of a title. You might have something in your mind, but it's basically chatting about link building, outreach, black hat, white hat, hence
yes,
the outfits. I'm obviously white hat.
Yeah, and I'm black hat.
Yeah.
And I even bought
You're the baddie.
I even bought new trousers for this.
Got to be done. Got to be done. So it's just, I think a lot of black hat is still done, isn't it? I think it's been great chatting with you and some experience you've had, because I've been here for probably 6 years plus. We never pay for links. We never try and manipulate it, and we really try and follow Google guidelines. But we've had conversations when we attended conferences and other things, and it definitely still happens, and it's too risky for me, and I freak out because I'm on the angel side. But
yeah, and I even watching Brighton SEO, which was a week or so ago, there were talks on there where at the end, when they were saying for competitive sectors, they were advising, that you might have to purchase links or, pay some sort of fee, whether it's I know a lot of bloggers these days, they talk about it as it's a publishing fee.
Yeah.
You're not buying the link, but it's all the same. It's an exchange of goods, or it's an exchange of money.
Yeah. No, it just got me thinking about it again. I think our stance is we don't pay, and we've got the clients, and we always kind of explain to the clients we'd rather get no links than promise links and pay for them and then be lower quality or lead to a penalty. But I'd just not questioned it or thought about it. And like you say, watching those talks, it just makes you think that it is still done. And it does work. The thing that scares me is down the line explaining to the client that you have done it against Google guidelines and they might get a penalty, or they might have to back paddle and remove it. That to me is the scary bit.
I think especially for us, it's going to pay off in the long run that we're doing everything the right way and we are ethical. Because if we go back to pre-Penguin days, 2012, it was more of a link counting exercise. Google just counted the amount of links, so you could pay people to build or use software to build thousands and thousands of links. Didn't matter where they were, forums, footers, sidebars, anything like that, and you could get to the top of Google. I was involved in this is about 10 years or so ago, with affiliates, where we managed to get them ranking for position 1 for engagement rings in the UK and flower delivery. I've even been involved with insurance, so motor insurance, camper van insurance.
They're really competitive terms,
even
as well.
Payday loans, things like that, with affiliates. I've been directly involved in grey hat SEO. However you want to say it.
No, I remember saying, this is the budget each month, this is how many links are expected, and we'd go out and get them. And I always used to think, do people kind of almost get pressurised so that they'd buy, if they hadn't got 20, they'd got 18, they needed 2 extra? Would they almost be a bit pressurised to just pay for ones that weren't that great? Because I think sometimes, like you say, it's a bit grey hat. I think they look okay and they're not massive link farms and stuff, but I
think one of the things as well is we work with a lot of B2B companies rather than B2C. And definitely with the companies that we're working with, the weighting of links just isn't there for a lot of them. And I think if you were building loads of links, it's an immediate signal to Google something's...
Well, it's not easy to do, is it? So if you're getting that many and you've got a tiny team, I know Google probably won't know how many people are working on it, but it's just a red flag instantly if there's a lot coming in. And I always think, even when, because we obviously do a lot of like link management and disavowing, and even when they're coming through on there, it's quite obvious, I think, when it's manipulated.
Absolutely, especially if you've spent however long we've spent looking at links. It's very easy to spot from our point of view.
I definitely can look at them and tell if they're dodgy or not. And I know when I first started, everyone's like, you'll get the knack as soon as you look at them. And it's so true. You only got to do a few or have paid for links in the past, and it's just so obvious. No photo of the person, not a identity to the website a lot of the time, is it? It's just, you can tell it's paid for the link.
So I guess let's go back a little bit. 2012, April comes around, Penguin drops. How did that impact SEO, or how did that impact you at that time? How did things change?
I think massively. I think everyone majorly panicked.
I
think I was in-house, so it's probably different to an agency experience, but so they had a few websites that they managed, but it was a lot of fear. I remember thinking, oh my God. But you mentioned that it wasn't always site-wide, which I don't think I was aware of, or it's passed me by. But so it could just be groups.
So I think for anyone listening, it's important to differentiate between being algorithmically hit by Penguin and having a manual action. So a manual action, or a lot of people call it a penalty, a Google penalty. You know, you can head into Search Console, you can check if you've got a manual action, and it will say in there, with a manual action, I don't know whether it's easier to get rid of a manual action or an algorithmic penalty, to be honest. They're both very difficult. I had a lot, so I was in-house around 2012, and then in about 2013, 2014, started working for an agency. And we made... most of our incoming business at the time was penalty removal. So guys coming with either algorithmic or manual actions and getting rid of them. So auditing lots of links and then submitting letters to Google and just saying, please, we were naughty, an overview of what we've done, tried to remove certain links, and just making sure that Google's aware that that's not a tactic that we're going to do moving forward.
I know it sounds a bit sad, but I really liked going through all the links.
I love it as well.
I don't know why, because it's like so manual and loads of people hated it. I just loved checking them, because you can quickly get through them as well when you've done a few. Even when we get the tasks for our clients now, and I see a link, I'll take that.
I'm like, great, I'll have that. So, and then I think with the algorithmic, it's a lot harder in the sense that, especially if you've got a web owner, your traffic might drop, or it might drop in certain areas of the site. So it could be a group of keywords. If you've particularly spammed a particular area of a site, and it drops, you don't necessarily know what the cause is.
That's the tricky thing, I think. If you're given a penalty, and you can resolve it. And like we mentioned before this, it's quite automatic, so you don't have to wait for the next update. It kind of clears it off quite quickly, so that's quite reassuring, I think, if you are hit, because you get pressures from the account manager or people above, like, there's a penalty, do it. And so it's quite easy to deal with, but I think if you just investigate, and it could be a number of other things. So you might not get to it straight away. You might think it's something else.
So currently Penguin rolls in real time, really. So if you are hit algorithmically and you do make the changes, it's a lot quicker to recover. Whereas in the past, you might have to wait 6 months
for
a refresh. So you can do all this work, the refresh can come, and then if you haven't met the criteria. So really, I think with Penguin, it's kind of like a balance of how many bad and how many good links you've got. So what you can do, there's two ways of getting rid of it. There's either you can get rid of those spammy links, or you can build a lot more good links in order to sort the balance out. Obviously, that's much harder. You can't, getting that amount of links. So usually people take the tactic of trying to get those removed.
They must have got so much data at the time, because I remember going through massive sheets because everyone was really scaremongered by it, and I remember putting the reason. Do you remember you were really specific on each one of the reason why it had to be removed, and you had to email the sites. And I remember emailing a website and saying, "Oh, you've linked to us. Please, can you unlink?" Yeah. And he was like, "I have no idea what a link is. What are you talking about?" I didn't know Google had guidelines, and I was like, "Oh my God." So, but I think now I don't know if people are as thorough.
No.
I don't think you need to be. I think it's just we've identified these. It's domain or URL level.
Yeah. I remember writing a blog post on how to get rid of an algorithmic penalty, and it was so long, and I remember the spreadsheet being so detailed, so many columns, and it used to take so much time, and I feel like it wasn't really needed unless you've got a manual action. It's definitely not needed. With a manual action, I definitely think it's worth it, because you can send that, you can provide those spreadsheets to Google, and just they can see what you've done to try and remove links. This is what scares me. I always think they know more, and they know the link networks and the farmers, and they know if you're linking to them, you're paying, and they're probably not that good at it yet, but I think they've got it, and at some point, It's a tricky one, really, because on the one sense, if you're in a very competitive marketplace, there's a lot of agencies out there that are going to say to you, "We guarantee you page 1, or we guarantee you top 5 ranking." There's a lot of cowboys in the industry.
That's the other struggle, isn't it? That's the other struggle. You've got in the back of your mind, we have to win clients, and that. And we've come across it with clients kind of saying, we want to pay for them, why can't we? And I've always kind of gone back to, if it goes wrong, we're the experts in SEO and they are paying us to do it. So if we're not completely honest at that point, and we go, okay, let's pay for links, I think it's our fault, and we have to rectify that probably for free. And it's just better being on the right track, of right side of the law, as I've said before.
And I think a lot of SEO agencies, chatting to friends, obviously I've got lots of friends in the industry and speaking to them, and I think if you are using these tactics, you're going to churn over clients very quickly. You're going to have them on for maybe 6 months. You're either not going to achieve much, and you're spending a lot of money buying links, or you could potentially get them a penalty. You lose all trust with that client. And then they're going to go somewhere else. But I think we're the way we try to get trust at Digital 22 is, usually we can do it through an audit or something like that. We can just show our knowledge, build that trust. We adhere to all the guidelines.
And it's being honest if stuff doesn't work. So doing bigger digital PR campaigns, it doesn't always work out, and just saying we've tried it, we're doing the right thing in SEO right now, but you almost can't guarantee. So I know when we do our strategy docs, we'll say we're going to do some outreach and we hope to get however many links, but it's a hope, and it's not guaranteed. We might not get any. We only want the high quality ones, so it's not worth us writing content, whether it's guest blogs or whatever form of content it is. It's not worth investing the time and getting a link that isn't amazing.
And with a lot of SEO, there's sometimes there can be two right answers, or there can be definitely different ways of looking at that. And I think the great thing about working with us, we do have an SEO team. We've got a lot of experts.
We bounce a lot of ideas off each other.
We bounce ideas off each other before we come to an agreement on something or the best tactic to take, rather than a lot of smaller agencies, you might have one person, you've only got one opinion, he's not bouncing ideas, or her is not bouncing ideas off anyone.
And it's always changing as well, so it's just questioning everything all the time in a way, and that's a lot easier if there's 4 of us than, like you say, you're one person with your head in your work. It's not always achievable,
especially
is it?
when it's constantly evolving and changing. I think with link building, it is quite black and white, just excuse the pun, between what is right and what is wrong. So I guess if we maybe start talking about what are some of the tactics that you should be avoiding, because I guess some people might not know, like you said when you were contacting website owners, what's a link, what am I doing, what's no follow, what's do follow.
And I think if I was looking at my SEO or I had a penalty or I was looking at links, it is a bit of a minefield, like you said, because a lot of the time there's 2 answers. So you could come to us and get, we never pay, and then you could go to someone else and they do, and they can guarantee. And how can you decide which is the most honest and truthful way? It's literally the complete opposite way of doing things. So to me, a natural link is perfect. So if you naturally work with a shareholder or another website and you have a personal relationship, that's a natural link. They naturally fit into what you offer, or they provide a service to you. That's always been an acceptable way of doing things. Obviously there's only X amount, you work with who you work with, and it often doesn't rapidly increase all in one go. So that's one thing to tackle. I always think first, because it's an easy link.
I guess the importance there as well is it's natural, it's also relevant. It's just, I think that's key as well, isn't it? To a natural
definitely,
link.
So if my brother had a website and it was a completely different industry, just because we were brother and sister, we wouldn't get a link. But if it was me and I bought my stationery from someone, it's a natural. So they might have us on their website as a customer, that sort of thing, or a charity that you regularly work with. I think local listings, if you've got a shop front, you want your address, your phone number, your website, all your details. So local newspapers, local press. Again, it's just genuine, isn't it?
And the key with that as well is to not try to manipulate those local listings, because a lot of these tactics, which can be natural, can sometimes be unnatural. So if you're building links with local directories and using unnatural anchor text, so instead of using your brand name, for example, where you get the link, you might try and put a keyword in there. So say you're selling, flower delivery. Instead of using your brand name, you put flower delivery and try to get an anchor text, things like that. That's where the kind of grey black cat comes in to ruin everything for everyone else, really.
Even if you haven't got a shop front and you're listing your address, it's misleading to the user who will maybe drive. I remember we had a warehouse somewhere I worked that sold products, but you couldn't just drive to the warehouse and buy it. You had to buy through the website. So they wouldn't want their business address listed because people would just show up. And there wasn't any business to be done face to face there. It was all deliveries. So it's thinking of users of Google, what is useful. It's like a guest blog. Don't just write it for the sake of writing it and getting a link. Is it a useful piece of information that isn't already out there? Or is it telling the user something from the awareness stage that has a good search volume? So obviously you consider the keyword side of things, but like you say, you wouldn't continuously go for the same one. It's all would naturally fit. And whichever the website, it's written how that website writes. It's not how we do it or the client tone of voice. It's what fits with that website and what will their readers, subscribers want to see. Rather than just they've said yes, let's do this.
I agree.
Or paying.
And I think there's definitely things that you want to avoid. So obviously we've said, buying links, any sort of link scheme. If people are emailing you, even we get them, don't we? Even on LinkedIn and things like that, people are contacting us. They're dropping 50 links in an email to us.
All the different niches, they nicely lay it out for you, don't they?
And they put, their DA, their traffic, things like that. what I guess one thing to mention is that domain authority, whilst it's a great metric, it can easily be manipulated if you know how to do it. So especially when we're link building, we're going to look at the relevance of that website. Are they in the right niche? We're also going to look at the traffic to that site. That's a really good sign that it's a quality site. If you don't know what you're doing, are they ranking in Google? Is their site indexed in Google? Again, if you're able to do a site search on that domain, that's another important thing to do. Because I know a lot of these emails, excuse me, I'm smashing the mic. A lot of these emails that you get sent the sites, if you actually take a look at them, so many of them are de-indexed because they've got penalties and they've been hit, but people will still buy links.
If they've got the target and the pressure, they'll think it's just, as long as I can get a URL in that spreadsheet, I'm covered. And the client most of the time is none the wiser because they haven't got the knowledge, and they don't need to because they're paying an agency, but there's a lot of ways to kind of manipulate that situation, isn't there? And it's not great, but I do really simple things. I just click around a lot and I look what other sort of blogs are on there, if it's dodgy like casino and that type of thing, and even the tags tell you a lot of the time, and just how regular they post. Like I don't know why I look at things like that. It triggers things in my mind. I think this seems dodgy. Or
it's got a lot more sophisticated with the tactics that people are using, because back in the day we used to do things like creating a website theme, which in the footer embedded was a link, a keyword link to our website. So anyone that was using this this theme on their blog, we're getting a link. And I spent hours and hours trying to remove those. I've done widgets for an old company I work with, a widget that you used to embed on your website, and you had to embed that as well, which again is against Google guidelines with the do follow link. Forum spam, things like that, linking forums, keyword anchor text in forums, excessive sidebar links, excessive footer links, using Scrapebox. I don't know if you've ever used Scrapebox, but once set up, it was such a great tool to generate loads and loads of kind of forum and comment spam, especially, and you could get do follow and no follow links from that, and you could get websites ranking really well,
because there are brilliant forums out there, and if you use them well, you have to invest a lot of time in them, and you have to be generally in that niche, don't you? So it's very hard to just go in and drop a link. So if it was a genuine forum link and you're helping someone with a query and there's a reason, I'd say that's white hat and it's genuine. But I think it's quite hard for agencies to do it unless they're really dedicating time. And most of the time it isn't. Well, they've got that many rules on them now as well because of what people have done in the past. I think it's quite hard to get any decent links.
I guess that's the difficulty if you're a business. A lot of these tactics can be white hat, but manipulated they can be black hat as well. So it's a very fine line, and so many SEOs play on that, don't they? Or SEO companies, the more unethical ones, they play on that fact that we're being ethical. We're not actually buying links. We're paying we're paying for their time. We're paying for the content. We're paying for them to write the content. I've heard of that sort of thing, or they'll get freelancers to do it, and then you've got even less control. Whereas we've always done it in-house, and I know exactly who we're contacting, what the email template is, what we're saying, what we're offering, when it was booked in, etc. Whereas to hand it over to someone else, it's too much responsibility because they could bring your site down because they've got to be of the same mindset as Digital 22 are for it to work, and I don't think I'd ever be able to pass the baton to anyone else. And I think they will be driven by the amount of links you need, or they won't get paid. And then I think people make those choices and invest in ones that are just sometimes just absolutely awful. And I think especially at Digital 22, everyone that works here, I've not been here long, but everyone is trusted. Like, there's trust from day one. And I think if we start looking at outsourcing any sort of link building, that trust is, all the clients that we work with, they trust us for a reason, and we can't be having stuff out of our hands. And it's scary
for them giving us an email account and saying we can outreach, and it's scary for them anyway. So you want them to trust that this is our stance and that this is what we do. We never pay, and we'll only get what we think is the best for your site. And I kind of think about it like, as I'm sourcing the sites, if they question me on it, would I be confident, and would I be able to stand in front of the client or other people in the company and be like, because it's this niche, and I've looked at this and I've read that, and I've got an idea for a topic that's bang on with what the blogs we're writing for inbound. And if you think of it like that, like, you're going to be held accountable for everyone, you do a lot better job. Whereas if you do pass the baton to someone else, that all that is lost in a sense. But obviously I think guest blogging does work and has for years, but I know we're moving more towards like the digital PR, human element, link building, the more natural, genuine, trending things. I just kind of love that mindset a bit more, that they come to you, the links, and there's kind of a wider net as well, because you're not asking people one by one. They just generally think it's an amazing asset or image or whatever it is, and without being asked. That's the dream, isn't it? Stuff trending and it naturally taking off. It's not that easy.
And these days as well, since Penguin was in 2012 to today, Google's understanding of links is so much more advanced now, and in a lot of cases people might not, manual actions and algorithmic devaluations are not as common, because Google can understand what spammy links are, and they will just simply ignore them. So I think one thing I'd say, that if you are buying links, what impact are they having, and are they being ignored? Because I think in a lot of cases, the links that I see being built are very low quality. They're on sites that aren't very relevant. They cover every niche. I think that's one of the red flags when I'm looking at a site. If they've got a menu bar with about 1,000 different niches, it's like,
it's not
this
specific
isn't great.
To anything.
It's not going to be ranking, and you're not going to get any benefit if you're paying them £200 or something for a post. You're really wasting the money, and I think that money would be better invested elsewhere, whether that's in investing in better content, or investing in video, or even PPC, whatever it is,
bigger
or
social.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's it.
I think it's the footprint. If you're buying links, everyone else is, so it's very easy for competitors to do exactly what you're doing. Look what your backlink profile is and copy it. I think if you do really unique things, they can't mirror it. It's like, you've got to think, like, if it's a genuine partnership or a genuine charity or a big digital PR piece or something you've reacted to in the media that's timely, they can't clone it and gain the same results as you. So you're always a step ahead in a sense. So that's because obviously, like, some niches are really competitive and it's really hard. And if I'm looking at competitors' backlinks, I'm following them rather than leading and trying to do more amazing things and just catching up. And
I think before the podcast we were talking a little bit about inferred links, where we were saying that with a lot of links these days, there's so much financial incentive and so many people are so aware of the power of links, that actually just an inferred link. So instead of, usually you think of a link, say you're selling black t-shirts, for example, and the anchor text will be black t-shirts, links to your site. Whereas I think with an inferred link, if someone is saying, I found this incredible company called X, Y, and Z, and they sell great black t-shirts, and there isn't a link there, I think anyone reading that it's so genuine. I appreciate there's an extra step there for that user. They've got to go, oh, I'll check out that brand. You know, copy, right click, search in Google or whatever.
That's the thing. I think it's not like as focused on links being followed, because that back in the day, that's all everyone cared about. I think now it's like mentions, or it's just, and I always say, even if it's a mention with no link, you can share it on social. It has values, definitely. Same with stuff on social media, whereas I think people still focus on the follow link a lot and X amount, which it seems a crazy way to look at it at this time. I know it's always progressing, but I think it's going to get harder as well. Yeah. And at some point, Google's going to get better at organising all the data it has. And
I think it's probably worth just clarifying as well, if anyone's unaware, the difference between a do follow link and a no follow link. So essentially, in the HTML, we can say whether, or the website owner, whoever's uploading the link, can say whether the link is no follow or do follow. Essentially, you're just telling the Google bot to crawl this link, and that it's a natural link. And if it's no follow, you're just saying to Google, don't crawl this link, don't pass any page rank or whatever, or link juice, whatever you want to call it. Juice, but I always say it. You don't want to pass any page rank, and you can use that no follow link as well to just to tell Google that this link might have been purchased, or it's a sponsored post or something like that. So if you're working with a company and advertising, or even in affiliate marketing, those links from the affiliate sites should technically be no follow. Google's pretty good at ignoring them anyway, because they usually have a parameter on them. But so if you are buying links, make sure they're no follow, and then you're okay to an extent. If you're looking at the from, if you want to do some sort of sponsored and you're going to get the traffic from that, make it no follow, and then you don't have the risk of Google de-indexing your site.
And obviously you pay if you promote a press release or something, you do pay for that. So that is classed as PR, but it's technically SEO a little bit as well, because you're adding a link. But that's acceptable, so it's quite hard to, again, it's the lines, they're a bit blurred, aren't they? And things like advertorials as well are often paid for, and big media campaigns. So it's kind of making the decision for the client at the time and deciding if it's genuine or and what the rules say.
It kind of boils back to the over manipulatisation of these tactics, doesn't it? It's like doing any of these things to excess is usually dodgy.
I think that's a good way of looking at it. Realistically, to me, to get 20 links a month seems excessive.
It's unnatural,
because you have to say it's a guest blog. You have to find the site, email them, go back and forth a little bit, get your idea, get your topic, write it. I think if it's good quality, you're not going to write it in an hour. I think you're going to spend a lot of time, and then get it live. And if they're like a trusted site, they'll have regular contributors who have slots. So I just think to send someone it and they upload it on the day is a red flag to me, because they're being paid because they want the money. So it's that incentive, and they should have like editorial calendars of topics, and it should be well thought out and organised, like a marketing plan for the year for that website. And if there's nothing like that, it is slightly, you're in it for the money.
That's one great way of spotting a purchase link, really. It's the quality of the content, because usually it's going to be bought from like Fiverr or people, not to say that those sites don't have good content writers, but if you're paying $5 to $10 for someone to write a piece of content, the quality isn't going to be there. Whereas
and the client knowledge, like, you know how long it takes to get to know a client and their tone of voice and their brand. So it's that thing, isn't it, for someone else outside of the organisation to be anywhere near that quality is just it won't happen, will it?
And that's where we differ, really, isn't it? Where we've got a team of writers, we'll create a plan for that content, and we'll work with the site owner to really get because not, you know, to get a good piece of content, and I know that I hate that content is king, but because it's so overused, isn't it? It's kind of lost all meaning. But really, you've got to focus on the user now, especially more than Google. Yeah. I know in the past, and even every now and again, you'll see pages ranking that you think the content is terrible. Yeah. Every variation of keyword is included on that page, unnaturally bolded in or in italics or something like that, and hyperlinks and whatnot. And you think, gosh, how is that still ranking? But largely, for most searches, you're not going to get away with that sort of tactic, and you really need to be focusing on the user, and you need that quality content.
It's like you can't get away with just quickly doing anything. You have to invest time and hours and a lot in it. And the thing that used to rile me is when I had, back in the day when I had paid for a link, they'd put it live and the next month they'd remove the link.
They remove
and
them,
then you're like, I just paid you like 100 quid or whatever it was. Sometimes it'd be more. And there's no value now. There's no...
Yeah.
Because normally it has to be followed as well. I think people's mindset has changed a bit on that. Like you say, if you're doing it, do a no follow. Yeah. It's less risky.
But it's so common for these website owners just to start clearing out all the old content and old links. Which is a shame when you say, especially with some of these sites, you know, obviously you can get links from £30-50, but you can pay some serious money.
Yeah, you can.
I've definitely been involved in some serious link budgets in the past.
And sometimes you write them and then you pay them, and you're like, what? You literally uploading it. I know what that takes.
We're in the wrong business, really. But I guess the key, if you're a company, you're looking to get involved in SEO, it is long term. Yeah. If you want short-term goals, then SEO isn't a tactic to take. No. And I think that's the key to with SEO, is to combine it with other areas of marketing. So obviously we have a PPC team as well here, which it blends so well with SEO. And I think whilst Google will deny it, I've definitely seen a correlation between bidding on certain keywords and your organic position. I'm sure they will. Yeah, they always deny that, but I've definitely seen some sort of correlation there. So I think that's why we work together so well with PPC.
Even with our content team and the blogs, they don't rank in a month. It's 6 to 12 months. It's a slow burn. So to me, stick to the rules and do it well, but slowly. I think it looks natural. I think you generally naturally will get links. I think bigger brands will be bombarded, and that's a different ball game to most of the sites we do. Obviously, we do have e-commerce and some known brands, but to me, it's normally a slow burn, like you say, using PPC and then switching it around when we do achieve it, and not wasting money on ads when we have got it organically, but until that point, because it's not instant, and some people haven't done any SEO ever. No. So they come with no domain authority and no links, and you are starting off getting to know the niche and who they naturally have relationships with, and then going out there and finding the best matches. But it's not a quick game. Yeah, and
since I've been here, I've been working on a lot of the like the web projects and the GDD, which is growth driven design. Yeah. And one of the things that hit me so much, especially working with these new clients, and we're having these kickoff meetings and we're talking about their products and their services, and they don't clearly tell Google or the user what their product does on their website sometimes. And it's really hard. I'll do an audit for the call, and I sometimes I'm there, I'm like going to the strats, I'm like, what is it? What's their product? I don't understand it.
That's how I judge it, and I think that's when you can get away with asking all the basic questions. It's not our niche, but if I'm reading it, I don't understand it, and there's no keywords. Where do you start? You've almost got to think, what will people Google? Then you kind of go down a rabbit hole, don't you, and dig into it. But it's the thing as well, you'll have noticed on the web builds, you can't just build a website and send it out.
Yeah.
And, we've got the keywords done, we've done the redirects, we've done all the, like, on-site SEO to launch it, but it's the continuous maintenance, putting blogs out, doing SEO outreach, or doing tech fix or whatever it is. It's, for me, it's not lying and being like, yeah, we can build a site and then you'll sale. It's going, actually, you have to invest in PPC, in SEO, in content, and it all works together and complements with HubSpot, obviously. But that's our stance on it. It's very open and honest, and often you can't. I think we used to be SEO and PPC agency, but it's very hard if they're only got SEO. Whereas if you've got SEO, blogs, emails, PPC, and it all supports, it flies.
There's so much crossover now with SEO, isn't there? And I think especially in our team as well, we've got a different set. Everyone's got a slightly different set of skills which complement each other really well. But the key is that we do work very closely with content. We do work closely with social, even and video, and also the PPC team. Obviously, we're very close with them as well. So it's so important that if you want this instant traffic, that you look at other options rather than buying links. That should be your last option, to buy links. Come to an agency where you can. If you're HubSpot, obviously come to us. PPC alongside SEO is so key.
But even a lot of the other teams, like you mentioned, they have SEO, but so content, it's all SEO best practice, how they write them. It's not us physically doing it because they're the experts at the writing, but it's even like everyone's
even the developers as well. It's so because we have to work so closely with the developers, because obviously there's other things. I know we're getting off track a bit here, but site speed is so important. And then we've got the cumulative layout shift, things like that, which we've got to work with the developers. And also if we're doing international SEO with clients and we've got all the href langs, we've had problems, haven't we, with new clients coming to us, and it's a real it's a complex part of SEO. But we need that knowledge. Our developers need that knowledge, in order to get.
I don't think it is off topic. I think you can't just do outreach. You have to do the tech. You have to do the GDD. You have to do everything to get the best and to compete, especially if you're not the best version of that industry. So no, I think we'd be lying if you could just pay for links and it'd work. I think there's so many touch points that Google considers.
And I think that's something that on the journey, when we're having these kickoff calls, if clients do have this slightly old school approach that you don't need to do any on-site SEO, you can just buy links. We can educate them along the way, can't we? And that's how we build the trust.
Definitely.
And keep them on long term as well. By doing that. But you definitely could in the past. Just
sell the dream.
Just no on-site at all, and you could just build links, exact match anchors, and you'd start ranking. I even remember targeting keywords that weren't relevant to your niche to get your website ranking. Often they were. I won't a bit uncouth, put it that way, but they had a lot of search volume. So you'd get so much traffic to your website. And some of it would convert. But you can't do that anymore anyway. Like
a lot of people used to do misspellings, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that used to work.
Yes. I've even seen companies doing that quite recently. At least I think that. It probably
still works. It probably does work a little. I think everything works a little bit. And if you're too excessive, it's very apparent, isn't it?
Yes.
But we're on the right side that we just don't dabble.
No.
We just... These are the rules. We're doing the best that we think we can. And with the other aspects of Digital 22 as well, I think results happen. So we're never in that situation of, oh God, it's not working out, we're going to have to pay. We need to do something, because everything supports each other. So the traffic goes up and the clients are happy, and it's just being honest along the way.
Yeah, that's it. I think the key as well is it's not to say that we still hold ourselves accountable. We're just not making unrealistic page 1 or position 1 in a month or 3 months. We make realistic goals, don't we, every 3 months that we can achieve. We agree those with the client and we hit those goals. And that's where you can see the growth, can't you? When you're working with us over a year, it's like, organic searches were at, say, 5,000 when you joined with us, and we've got you to 10,000 or whatever throughout the year, and we can keep growing that.
Definitely.
And then that ties in as well with the GDD, that we need to sometimes, especially in a lot of markets, keywords might be changing. So we work in, we've got some cryptocurrency. There's a lot of new keywords or keywords that are changing. And terms that are used. So it's so important that we're constantly looking at the keywords. We're tweaking the metas and the descriptions. And if there isn't, if they aren't doing well for certain keywords, that's obviously something that we take a look at. And if they,
but it's that thing, isn't it?
Try to constantly improve.
If there's never competed, why leave it on there? You might as well use that slot for one that you can compete and dominate. No, that's definitely a good point.
Yeah, and then and that goes in with, obviously, we've done another podcast on the cumulative layout shift, haven't we?
Yeah.
But that's a new thing which Google is bringing in, and Google is constantly changing. Yeah. Especially with a website build, you might have very good page speed scores today. Yeah. In a year's time,
or when it actually launches. Yeah.
Yeah, your site speed might not be so good, and that's where we come in with the GDD. We're constantly checking these things, and we're constantly making small improvements to make sure that you are at the top of your game, and that in 3 years or 5 years time you don't have to buy a complete new website, because they are expensive. So doing it in sort of bite-sized chunks is a really effective way of achieving that, and just keeping you at the top.
Do you know what I like about agency over in-house? That you're always kind of challenged with the clients, because they always come to you in a different state. So some websites will build, so that's easy, but some we won't, and we'll just work with them. And the niches and the, like you said, with hreflangs, and we're constantly speaking with dev, this is what we've got, what do you guys think's best, then how do we fit SEO in them so we're both happy? It can never be just 100% SEO. You have to make decisions based on other things, but that I like that challenging side of it, that it's not just the same products or niche. It is completely different clients, like you said, really different niches that might not be as trusted, or so you've got a harder job on your hands from the get-go, but if you crack it.
Yeah, it's very varied, isn't it? The work that we do, and that points back to the fact that we've got a team here with different skill sets that you can utilise, I guess, rather than.
And we have to question everything all the time, because it always changes.
And
then we get another client on that's different, and something we've not looked at before. So no, it's great.
And sometimes it just depends, doesn't it? There isn't a right or wrong in some cases. Yeah. But we're pretty much on the same, singing from the same hymn sheet, aren't we? I think for most cases. So if you've got any questions, any comments, obviously drop them below, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible, or contact us on the socials or through our website as well. Yeah. We can help you out with any problems.
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer anything.
Yeah, that's it. And we've got plenty more to come. Yeah.